Welcome back to Timmy Talks Finance. Now we're going to look at some risk assets. And why we're looking at risk is because risk is the most sensitive to the current environment. So now looking at ARK, which is basically a risk on ETF, Cathie Wood holds a lot of risk on assets in here, the two top holdings being Tesla and Coin. All right, so we're looking at the weekly chart because that's what gives us the overall trend. So what happens here in the next couple of weeks could be some chop, could be some movements forward, but honestly, this is what I'm seeing as of now. So now the recent crash felt pretty similar to the COVID crash. As you can see over here, this was the COVID crash where we moved above, hugely above this blue line, and then we crashed straight down through it. And then once we crashed, we recovered pretty quickly right above the line and just up, and up almost every week going up. But basically, we eventually topped. But as you can see, this is a very strong uptrend. So what do we see since then? Okay, what's amazing is how similar this chart looks from what it looked like before. Okay, so what happened before the COVID crash? Simply, we hit the blue line 1, 2, 3 times before the fourth time we broke through it. Okay, but that was a failed breakout, and then we had a COVID crash, and then since the COVID crash, we went straight back through it. Okay, look how similar this next move was. Okay, after we came through the blue line, we crashed down. What do you see? We see 3 attempts to break this line. 1, 2, 3, and then the fourth time we break through it, same exact way, failed breakout, boom, straight down into the tariff crash. And not only does this chart look so absolutely similar to what it did back in 2019, it was almost the same time. Okay, COVID March crash was basically in March, tariff crash basically in March. You know, the days are not exactly the same, but it's pretty much the same month. Okay, we're looking at March. So this may seem kind of crazy, but so is this move, right? It would be pretty wild to see ARK go straight back up like it did before. But given the environment, given the amount of money printing, this could be very well what happens again. Looking at what Bitcoin is doing, breaking out above all-time highs, risk-on assets are starting to gain momentum. It really feels like ARK is just going to repeat this pattern. Okay, so do not fade ARK right here. This could be another massive move. But let's look at some individual names in here. Okay, we got Tesla is the main holding of ARK. So if you're a Tesla holder, this is what you've been seeing for a long time. And Tesla powered ARK last time. It was not the only good performing stock in ARK last time, but it was a huge mover in ARK. And I see that happening again. So what is happening here in Tesla? Okay, these are all higher lows. So we have been making higher lows on the weekly chart. It's been taking many years. But look what happened. We had this higher low down here in May of 2019. And we went straight up all the way basically until November of 2021. But this whole green range in here, it's basically a consolidation range. So we had this massive move going from, now there was a stock split in here. That's why the numbers may not sound familiar to you. But it went from $12, split adjusted, all the way to $400. Now, that's almost a 40x. It probably won't 40x again, but I can conservatively see another 5x from here, maybe more, maybe 10x. It's already a very large stock, but there's a lot of things Elon can do with AI and robotics and self-driving cars that could power that kind of valuation. So we've had this 5 years of consolidation after this huge move. And look, we poked above at one time, almost breaking out of the range. We came back in, but it looks like the next time it breaks this range is actually going to start the run. And it's going to start another run just like it did starting in 2019. Now, there's going to be pullbacks along the way, of course, but this stock could hit $2,000 in the next year or two. So, and that's also going to move the needle on ARK. So Coinbase is the second biggest holding here in ARK. It looks good. But there's some things to be a little concerned about. So we had this rising uptrend line. Now there's not as much data because it had an IPO much more recently than Tesla. But from the data that we do see, we've had this rising trend line of higher lows. Okay. And there's a lot of fake outs going on in here. So let's break down what happened. We basically came up to 276 and we pretty much formed this huge resistance line. We defined resistance at around 246, but you could say even 250, and we came back down, and we did basically a retest of the trend line, and we had another move above that prior resistance, but it was a false breakout, and we had a dump down through this trend line. Okay, and here's the fake out. The fake out becomes a double bottom. Okay, so now we kind of reset that bearish move and that failed breakout by forming a double bottom, and we came back above this resistance again, above the 250 resistance, but we also hit the rising trend line. So this could be a bullish chart if we can see this maybe chop around here above the green line, or if we shoot straight back above the red line, we'd be looking great. If it gets down below this green line, I would be much more concerned. So watch that. But given what is happening in Tesla and happening in ARK and Bitcoin, definitely lean with a bullish narrative. Okay, so risk on's looking good, but just be careful out there. If you want me to look at any other stock charts, post it in the comments and I'll see if I can look into it.